Hi, I'm Steve Deace. So if you're looking for a summer worldview camp, this is the place to be. July 16th through the 20th, we're going to encourage your kids to become the next generation of cultural leaders. We've got pastors like Douglas Wilson, filmmakers, cultural critics and commentators like myself and Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire. Sign up at calledconference.ninja. Again, Moscow, Idaho, July 16th through the 20th, calledconference.ninja.
Hear the world calling, but son, don't you listen. They're only trying to drag you back into prison, that's right.
Welcome back to What Have You. I'm Rachel Jankovic.
I'm Becca Merkel.
We've gathered together in the heat of July. You know,
It's July now, isn't it?
I almost just said July in August, but it's not that. It's just July.
Just the plain kind.
So I have to tell you something.
Tell me.
You know how people always are going off about the problem of evil? And when they go
I don't
off...
know. When you say people, like, are we talking about
just at all times,
your friends,
someone somewhere,
your neighbors,
someone somewhere,
Christopher Hitchens? Who are we...
I'm speaking more in general when people are like, how can these things happen?
I mean, I know it's a thing.
But I wondered, as of our experience last night, why the mating habits of snails, or slugs, it was slugs.
Oh, right.
Why that has not been brought up more broadly. I was like, I might not be able to get my way out of that argument. This is overtly devious.
Guys, I awake this morning to a picture
gross.
On my phone that Rachel took and shared with me. And there it was. And
I've never been so offended in my life.
She texts with a little, "This was the grossest thing ever." So, of course, she sent me a picture.
Of course I did.
It's not...
Because you've never seen anything so hideous in all your life. And apparently that slugs are...
Well, I couldn't quite... I tried to not...
Slugs only participate in this activity in the cloak of darkness. And last night, Luke and I go outside.
Did you research that?
That's where I went wrong, is you Googled it up, which
See,
made everything so much grosser.
Well, of course it did.
Well, I did this recently with a big spider that we caught, too.
Oh, no, Rach.
Well, we caught a big spider, and I'm like, this is really weird. I've lived here my whole life. I've never seen a spider like this here. And I was really like, what's going on? And so started looking at pictures of spiders, trying to identify it, and I'm not super skeezy about it, but boy, I got the creepy crawlies about that. I had a hard time coming down from my spider identification time, and especially because I kept looking at it. It was in this jar, and I kept going back to consult it more closely, and then I just could not get it out of my mind.
You know what? I've never found myself to be troubled by octopi. Like, it's just kind of a thing in the world that
it could be if they lived in the yard.
Well, it's just sort of like, that's a weird thing, interesting stuff that lives in tanks and oceans, far from me.
Not part of my life, really.
Someone, maybe one of you, I don't know, someone posted a picture of a bunch of kites flying. And the kites were giant octopus with these tentacles flying around everywhere. And I was like... Nope. Like, that is horrible.
You mean it was not a real octopus?
No, it was kites. No, but it was like there were like 6 of them.
Up kites
with
looking
these,
like...
with these tentacles flying around. Yeah. And it just, I thought, actually take that out of context, and I am not okay with an octopus. Yeah. This is not good to have in the air.
I don't think I like a slug in any application. Like, I don't think there's not really. I'm not offended if a slug must live somewhere.
That's very generous of you.
Yeah, it was, isn't it? But Luke and I are sitting on the porch swing talking, and then he just goes, "What is that?" And I'm like, I don't know, what is it? We turn on the phone flashlight, and it is the slug situation. Right
Big
in
ones,
front,
though.
right
Big
in front
ones.
of the porch swing, there was a pillar on the porch. And these are the slugs, the leopard slugs.
Yeah, big.
So
jumbo,
they're big. They're
jumbo.
probably like...
They're like as big as an octopus.
Do you think they're... I mean, I like don't want to really overestimate here, but I want to say they're
3
like 4
inches,
inches,
4?
3 inches
Yeah,
long.
big, jumbo.
nappy old noodles. And the part that no one knew about and didn't want to know, I'm not going to go into the details
Yeah,
because
thank you. Thank you.
But you need to know that they were hanging off of the side of the pillar from like a foot of slime.
Ow!
Like suspended
No!
in midair.
No!
And that's why we were like, what is happening here? Like, how did this, I didn't know that this happened.
Like midair, not on the pillar?
No, they were not stuck to the pillar. They were just swinging in the breeze. And when I look this up, I see one of the pictures that someone documents of these nasty, enormous slugs swinging from the boughs of a tree. And then you think you could walk into that in the dark and get that on your neck. Like, I was like, I don't think of these slugs as being suspended anywhere in air.
No.
So that was really
That's
dark.
like, it's
It
basically,
was dark.
it's like having an octopus in the air.
Yeah, and
it's like, no.
but an
Stay out of
octopus
that.
being deviant, like the whole thing was so bad.
It might not have been deviant.
No, but see what I'm saying
Rachel,
is,
they
I'm
might
pretty
have been-
convinced, having gone and read what the heck
Oh.
happens here, I'm pretty convinced that this is a post-fall creature. Like, cannot have been there for the it was good. I feel like this is just not right. I just can't even
like the
about
lake
it.
of fire that's reserved for the devil and his angels.
And
It's
those,
like,
and
those.
slugs,
Are you just
and them.
putting them under the heading of Satan's angels?
I am. I think that would be a more fitting
Oh,
name.
dear heavens.
So
Maybe
now
they
you
will-
all know, and you can be equally grossed out.
Maybe they'll
with
be
me.
redeemed in the
Ah!
coming resurrection.
Yeah. Well, then, but the funny part is that the only means you have to kill a slug that big. How are you gonna kill it?
No, with a shotgun, I think.
We did not kill the nappy old spider because I felt bad for killing it for just being
For
a
being
spider.
itself,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. Which is funny. If it had been in the house, I would have shot it with a real bullet, I think. But being outside when we just gathered it up to
Yeah.
look at it, I don't know. Luke threw it out in the yard. I think I would have probably thought we should let it be done with its life, but he gave it away to the yard, and I was all right with that. But the slugs, I'm like, but we don't want them to go lay their 7 billion eggs in the garden. Like, they
Do
should be
slugs
dead.
lay eggs?
Yes. The dark deeds. I know the dark deeds.
Tell me
of
you
the
didn't
slug.
kill those.
Oh, we killed those.
How? I don't want to know how.
Yeah, this is what makes it funny.
Yeah.
How are you going to do it? Because they're like a huge slime bomb. Like, what are you going to do with that? So the well-known treatment, of course, is to salt them. But that made me feel like I was getting into the superstitious arts, because there I was throwing salt at them. Isn't that a thing, like to throw salt over your shoulder?
Maybe.
There's some weird thing like that, and it made me laugh that I was like, yeah, here I am casting
Oh.
little pinches of salt out over it, like cleanse the area. Cleanse it. So gross,
Oh,
though.
nasty.
So now, because it was so gross, I had to share it all with you
course,
guys.
everyone.
I've reserved your sensitive hearts from quite a bit of the bad news about
Well,
this. There's a lot of bad news, guys. Lots of bad news.
I have a picture of it, but I don't know that we ought to include that in this week's
No,
Facebook.
you don't want to know.
Just know, guys, that it could have not really been worse.
Satan's angels are things you don't want to run into. So,
Oh my
well,
word!
got you up to speed on all the
I'm glad.
excitement
I'm
in my
glad.
life.
Here I was ready for a problem of evil discussion, but it was a problem.
There's something about it that is deviant enough that you feel like, well, that can't be okay. Like, I don't know.
Oh man!
Yep.
That is funny.
So you've been doing things at teacher
Oh,
training,
man.
right?
Yes, Logos has an annual teacher training where people come here to Moscow and do a few days of just workshops and hearing talks, and I am doing, I think, 5 more. Was on a panel today, and then have 5 more talks over the next few days, but it's full of gripping things like testing and, you know, worldview analysis and stuff like this. But then, what was I going to tell you? Oh, my bedroom project.
The quest.
The quest. Mm-hmm. It's like, I feel like I am after the questing beast. It's like, I'm trying to finish. And I told Rachel this the other day, that if you get 98% there.
This is Becca's life philosophy.
And you don't get 100% there, you might as well have not even started in the first place.
I think if we want to fight about it, we should just talk about the apples.
But
I'm a big believer in that 90% was still 90% of the way there.
Well, no, I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying that then it backslides immediately. And then that's what I mean about you might as well have not even tried.
But doesn't it backslide from 100%?
Not as effectively. Because the thing... No, it doesn't. Because here's the deal.
Some new situation will arise that will take you back to 90%.
Yes, okay. We live in a fallen world. It's true. But the thing that I'm trying to emphasize here is the broken window syndrome.
Yeah.
You've got one broken window and the whole neighborhood falls apart, right? Now, let's say that you are starting as I was starting, where already 60% of the windows are broken, right? That bedroom needed a redo because there were just too many unorganized things. So, then you proceed to break all the windows. You know, you pull everything out of everywhere.
So you're saying don't fix half the windows, fix them all.
And I'm saying, but if you get it 98% there, but you still leave 3 broken windows. I'm just saying.
I think what we have to back up on, where the real heart of our...
your Dr. Pepper.
Where the heart of our disagreement would be that I would say, don't go break the rest of the windows. So I would say...
It's a metaphor here.
I know it's a metaphor, but I'm saying... Well, it doesn't really matter.
You can't.
There's so much strategy and psychology, like self-help, like the way that you have to motivate yourself. People are so different, and I have done.
But you can't. Nobody can clean out a closet without pulling everything out of the closet. And once you've done that,
I can.
Oh my gosh! Now you're just bragging.
No, I'm not bragging. I'm saying I made myself do this one time because
she's being pompous.
Back in our early marriage, at some point, I had a closet that got out of hand. And it was because we lived in a tiny apartment, and it was a tiny closet that seemed spacious to us because it was bigger than our last closet. But nonetheless, it was a small little hall closet. It counted as a walk-in closet, but it was not bountiful. It was little. But it needed to have Luke's clothes, my clothes, sort of general kitchen hospitality equipment, and my sewing machine were all in there. You know, it was like a jammed up closet, and it got out of hand. Now, you know how things get out of hand with the like laundry basket that has the one thing that needs to be mended and 2 things that should go to the dry cleaner, and then before you know it,
and then it gets some gift bags mixed in there too.
Yeah, and then before you know it, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. Batteries.
Somebody's like, where's the ruler? And you're like, it's in that laundry basket.
You know, that one that we keep that we never intended to have.
This is what I'm saying. Like, don't have the laundry basket.
Right, but I went for a long time of not doing it because I felt like I never had time to deal with it because I was like, I'm going to have to take everything out. I'm going to have to spend an entire Saturday doing it. Well, then I went on a spree of setting a timer for myself where I would set a time. I had a thing where I would give myself 15 minutes in each room, and it was like a stop, put your pencils down, move on. Mm-hmm. If you haven't finished the kitchen in 15 minutes, doesn't matter because now it's time to be in the living room. And but I did that, and then I had like 15 minutes in each room, and then 15 minutes for the floors through the apartment, and then I had a list of jobs that I would do, like just 15 minutes worth of work on it, and I did that closet. Like, I have just 15 minutes to do it. And it is so embarrassing how much better you could make something in 15 minutes of working on it.
Well, that's true.
When I postponed it for way too long, thinking it'd be a much bigger job. There's some kind of a principle that is called about work expands to the time you allow it.
Sort of. But the thing is in my defense, yes. If
I'm
you
not
need
talking
to rearrange,
about just your bedroom.
If you need to rearrange, like, a kitchen drawer that's gotten a bit untidy, yeah, you can do it within the confines of the drawer. But I actually was moving all of Ben's clothes into this closet, which
Yes,
meant
I
that
didn't
my
mean-
clothes had to be
yeah.
restructured, which meant that you couldn't do anything without taking it all out.
And you did a built-in.
And then, yeah, it turned into a built-in.
Yeah, so guys, I just like to say, it turned into a built-in. It's just a thing. And
did. It turned into
built-ins
a
are great,
built-in.
but it turned into a
No.
built-in. You
Built-ins
know what's going to
speak-
happen?
They speak to my
You know
soul.
what's going to... They do, but
The
you know what?
heart of my my
Built-ins
soul.
do not speak to my soul.
Oh, man, they do to me.
Yeah, they don't speak to me.
Oh.
But you know why?
Why?
Because...
You know what doesn't speak to my soul? Rubbermaid bins. I hate them.
I would not say they speak to my soul.
And if you don't have a built-in, what have you got? A Rubbermaid bin.
Really?
Well, what else have you
You
got?
calling me out on
I'm
having a
calling
Rubbermaid
you
bin?
out.
I have a Rubbermaid bin! Podcast listeners, I confess in public.
I have a lot of Rubbermaid bins, and it displeases me. And
Well,
so-
the thing that I don't like about a built-in, though, is that, so what, did you have a built-in, shelf for shoes?
Well, Rach, it's going to get so much worse. And I don't even know if I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do.
So, did you do a built-in shelf for shoes?
Oh, yeah, it's there.
Okay, so see, an example of something that would happen in my mind with a built-in is that right after you had a built-in for shoes, you have one pair of shoes too many, or one pair of shoes that doesn't fit in it right.
It's okay. You can get a Rubbermaid bin.
I cannot take that. If you made a permanent solution for an impermanent problem, then I can't even with that. I hate that.
Here's the thing, though.
I should be clear that I have lived with shelves and things that are built in just without stress.
a counter argument.
Yes.
This is true of anything where you say you've just allotted yourself the sock drawer. What happens if someone buys you more socks and they don't fit? Or I just have a silverware drawer, but now I bought a ladle and it doesn't fit in there. Now the thing is sometimes that happens and you have to go back and rethink some stuff.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's not a problem yet. And I just mean drawers are a fixed size.
I remember, yeah.
And drawers you have to deal with. It's not like an ever expanding drawer. You just have to kind of deal with the constraints.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hire you when we're building to come over and design me up built-in because I'll be the best client to work with. I will be nothing but
be
joy.
a dream
I will
machine.
be nothing but joy. I'll be like, but where am I going to put my Rubbermaids? I don't have Rubbermaids everywhere.
Design you a dispenser.
I do have
a Rubbermaid
Rubbermaids.
dispenser for when you
like a Dixie cup machine for my Rubbermaids.
No, the thing is, I have Rubbermaids, but my goal with this bedroom project has been to get away from any Rubbermaid solution. If it has to be stuffed in a weird thing and put under the bed, I'm trying to come up with a different way, some other way around it.
It's the quest that will never be done with. The quest of trying to fix our problems.
The never-ending search for organization. But the thing is, though,
straight up quote of Mary Lou Busby.
Already, oh yeah, you're right. Already, I know what you think about my built-in, but it's going.
I don't think you do.
I do. I know.
I bet
hardcore.
it's cool. I don't think that I'm saying I don't gel with the built-in solution.
Well, what would you do if you were going to design a closet? What would you do? Nothing?
No, I would.
Something's going to have to be built in there.
But that's different. You have a basic thing is different than a highly specified swinging arm for earring mounting.
I don't have a swinging arm. There is no swinging arm happening.
But we all know that the thing that delights your heart is that.
No, I am, like I said,
where are you putting your earrings?
I am harboring.
Are your earrings making an appearance in
not
the built-in?
in the closet? No. I'm still struggling because there is a bigger shoe problem that I need to solve, because I've gotten Ben's half is really well done. My half is not yet completely satisfying, but we're coming. It's coming along. The pile is dwindling of things that I have to sort. The jewelry is in a little dresser that's over by my bed. What was I going to say? Oh, no. I was just going to tell you that the built-in thing is getting worse. It will. It's going to get worse.
What are you about to do?
I don't know. I think I'm going to wait and have to show you a picture after it's done and it's too late.
Too late for
It's
me
like,
to
no,
naysay?
it's like...
I don't think there's such a thing as too late for me to naysay. I'm kidding. It's probably very cool.
I know how you'll feel about it. Because I, too, think it's maybe a little far out.
There's a...
But when we lived in England, I was buying all of our furniture off of eBay for like £1.50. And, man, that was a glorious, glorious scene because I would search for like within 50 miles of Oxford because we moved over there and it was a totally unfurnished apartment. So, well, it wasn't an apartment, it was a house. But, like, the first night, we were literally lying on some pink carpet with, like, we didn't have a pillow. We didn't have, like, it was hardcore bad the first night.
Oh, no.
And then the kids, though, we borrowed some couch cushions from our friends, and the kids slept on couch cushions, but Ben and I were on the pink carpet. Anyway, I think we used a sweatshirt or something to keep your face off of it. Yeah, it was nasty. It was nasty. So anyway, but we were starting
There
from...
been some slugs.
May have been. And the thing is we were then starting from scratch on furnishing it. And eBay over there is like, wow, is it amazing. I never buy anything on eBay here. Because even if you found a good deal, it would be like in Minnetonka.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
But I would search within 50 miles and then found these amazing deals of like really pretty antiques and things. And we would drive there in our little hilarious Volvo that we were driving, sort of a Volvo station wagon thing. And then we would have to tie it to the roof. And the way this whole thing always went down is we would first arrive and we would get out of the car and the people would say, "You drove all the way here from Oxford?" And it was always like, "We did, yes. It was like an hour to get here." Which here is hilarious to feel like that's much of a drive. But anyway, so first it was a yes, we came from Oxford. Then they would say, "How many kids are in there?" Because we would have all 5. Oh, yes, there's 5. Yes, they're all ours. We'd go through that. And then it would be, where are you going to put it? This isn't going to fit. And we'd be like, oh, yeah, we're going to tie it to the roof. And then it would be like, they couldn't even speak anymore. It was sort of like, we don't even know what to do. They thought it was probably illegal. They would tell us about how bad it is to tie things to roofs. I would sort of soothe them as Ben was putting it on the roof. and I would tell him, no, he's very good at tying knots. So that we would drive back to Oxford with like a wardrobe on the roof of the car. But this is all to say, I bought this amazing wardrobe for £1 that was Ben's while we were there. And it was this burled walnut, gorgeous sort of Art Deco gentleman's wardrobe. And it was very cool. And it had like all brass sort of things inside. And it had these little brass tags on the shelves. There was little shelves. And one said hats. And one said shirts. And one said sundries.
Are you making brass
tags? Yes, I might. I'm like, I could easily go to the trophy shop and I could get to do a brass tag that says,
what is
skivvies.
A trophy if not a well-organized closet?
I really want a brass tag that says skivvies on it.
Oh my word. So Shad is an early reader. I mean, he's reading, but when we moved, I had all the kids in. I have those, like, cube organizers that I used for their clothes so that we could just easily move one from our old house to our new house and not, I don't like dressers for children.
You are taking it to the other limit,
but I haven't.
You don't even like a
new
dresser.
News.
Like a dresser is too close to a built-in.
I don't like dressers for children because who knows what went where and you can never locate a clothes.
Oh yeah.
This is because my kids don't have very many clothes. Like we keep a pretty shallow bench on our clothes, so you have to be able to find what you have.
Okay.
Whatever. I wrote on some of the bins so that they could tell what was what, but Shad had 2 that were empty still
Okay.
on his. And anyways, I came into his room and saw written, he has a stuffed dog named Bob, a little stuffed animal, and written on one bin, it said, "Bed for Bob," and Bob was in the bottom of it, and then the one next to it said, "Nothing." Like Nufing, nothing. There's nothing in this one.
If only there was a brass tag.
I was like, there's nothing here. Nothing. Yeah, so if you have any blank spots in your closet,
I'll just
get a
have
little
it say
brass tag that
nothing.
says nothing.
It might not be brass. I don't know. I'm just pondering the question.
I think that it sounds
kinda
like a
want it.
priority. I think you're going to need to get that
Like
done
I
fast.
said, if you don't get it to 100%, Rach, if you don't get those brass tags on there, then you might as well have never started at all.
You
No.
haven't taken it to the limit.
For truth, I have not yet done brass tags. We'll
Yeah, but
see.
you might.
We'll
So-
see if we do.
Okay, so we should talk about something else.
I don't know why, because I think it's
We're
gripping.
flying so high on this topic.
Slugs and brass tags.
We're covering the important issues.
But what is important? What is? What do you want to talk about?
Nothing.
No.
Nothing is important.
What about well, no, you go ahead.
Nope, you say.
look like you have a thing.
No, I don't. I have no things. What was your thing?
Well, I mean, maybe we're just a broken record about keeping short accounts and emotional control of yourself.
Yeah, I don't know that you can say
Yeah,
it too
that's
many
the
times.
thing, is that if we all knew it, then why do we keep having a problem with it?
It's a good question.
It's like the I think we had some more questions about teaching emotional control to your kids.
Uh-huh.
And it seems to me that the real heart of it is trying to get it yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Because so often, I think, well, in whatever trying circumstance you're in, sometimes it's just because it's a rainy, drizzly day and you're put out, and sometimes there's really genuinely things wrong, and sometimes it's because you're in the middle of an important project, and sometimes it's because, whatever. There's just lots of...
You forgot to go to the grocery store.
We have lots of ways of explaining away our own lack of emotional control.
Uh-huh.
But what's especially bad is when you bring that to your child, trying to teach them to have emotional control. You know, how often you see the parents snapping on the kids.
Well, I said something because I told you I was on Cross Politic, maybe 2 weeks ago or a week ago, something, I don't know. But something that I said there that it reminds me of this theme, so this is why I'm bringing it up, is that it, just saying that one of the reasons that I more often talk to mothers than to single women is that it's not because I think a mother has any more value as a person than a single woman or a woman without children. But I think that mothers, there are Christian mothers who get up in the morning to ruin other people's lives.
Yeah, it's true.
And that you're like, if you start at dawn being a bad testimony to your children, like first thing first thing in the morning fussing, second thing in the morning feeling sorry for self, third thing in the morning snapping at others and being unkind.
Or here's another one. Turning to solve your spiritual problems by means of other things which are not scriptural.
Yes.
So there are all kinds of those things that are peddled to us upon the social medias all the stinking time.
Yeah.
About take this pill, or try this mindfulness technique, or go on that vacation.
Or the real
put
problem
yourself
is that
first,
you're not exercising as much as you should be, and
or you ate the wrong stuff.
Yeah, your
And
gut must be inflamed.
Something is wrong, and it's causing your heart to sin.
Yeah.
But the thing that they try to fix a sin problem with physical, sort of physical means.
Well, it's just a
And-
grown-up version of your little kid hitting you in the face and you being like, "Did you need a snack?"
Right.
Right? Like, oh, are you angry because
But see, here's the
you
thing,
wanted
though.
a jelly bean?
Whenever I see Christians falling into that, usually there's a very sort of pat answer that they have, which is, but God made us with bodies, and our bodies and our souls are connected, and if you can minister to the body in such a way that makes the soul better. Now, granted, that is true. We have bodies, but that is the most hideous cop-out if you think about it.
Because does the Lord ever talk like that? That's the question. The one who made our bodies, is he the one who says, don't worry about your selfishness? It's probably a vitamin deficiency.
Right.
You know, like,
no. Now, the thing is it harder to be godly when you're hungry and tired and itchy? Yes, it is harder to be godly, but that kind of is the place where the test is to find out if you are godly or not. And so basically, if you're saying no, you have to make yourself comfortable at all costs, and that's where godliness lives. That is just directly in revolt against everything God teaches us about sanctification. Yeah. Because it's not about like, oh, if only we could live in a perfectly comfortable state, then we would have solved our sin problem. Because it's like, nope.
That's
Adam and Eve
when we would
were
probably
in the Garden of Eden, and they
had a problem.
Yeah. So it's like, and you can sin. You know, we all know this. You can be having the best day in the world, sitting on the beach, having all of your dreams come true, and then get snorty at your husband for no good reason.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it bubbles up from within.
The whole small foxes spoil a vineyard is true, no matter how great the vineyard is looking, or how, like, it's true of all kinds of situations that petty sins can get in and destroy things. But the thing I was saying is about that with mothers is like, what are your children seeing of the gospel in your life? And what they should be seeing of the gospel in your life is part of what they should be seeing is you growing in godliness, getting things right, and learning from.
Well, and also you being godly in the midst of things not always being perfect for you.
No, like being godly when someone breaks something that mattered to you. Being godly when someone,
Okay, and this is, obviously, it is true that we have bodies, and it is true it's harder to be godly when we are being tested in those ways. And by all means, yes, fix your headache. Yes, take the Tylenol. Yes, eat a sandwich so you don't feel so, wobbly. Do all of those things, but don't think that in that you're actually fixing your sin. Because, remember Grandma Bessie? One time we were over there having dinner at her house, my dad's mom, and there was another guest there that night. And
through the day that happened,
all of us, we were probably all under about 12 maybe, and the three of us kids were there. And he was the rudest
I'm
man.
not sure, we were kids, so I don't think we were really in the loop about what he was doing there in the first place.
No.
I think he was probably there for counseling and stuff.
But I think he was staying with them.
Yeah, he was there for dinner, and I think she made pork chops or something, and she...
I think it was spaghetti.
No. It wasn't that, because that's what he wanted.
No, it was mac and cheese.
It was mac and cheese.
She had made homemade mac and cheese, and we were all sitting there eating Grandma's.
But when we sat down and she put it on the table, he said, I wanted spaghetti.
Yeah. He said, I didn't want this. I wanted spaghetti. Full grown man.
I think he might have been 40.
Yeah, he was too old.
He wasn't.
He was too old.
We were
breathtaking.
We were scandalized would not be too big of a word.
We just all sat there stunned.
We were like, what?
What did he just do?
But Grandma just got up and went and made the man spaghetti.
She did that.
She made him spaghetti.
She got up and she
showing
went and did that.
She was a great deal godlier than all of us.
And all of us sat there in a
fury.
Total state of what did you just do to our grandmother?
Grandma seemed like a mysterious creature to me at that time. I was like, I don't know how that happened. Why did she make this person spaghetti?
I know, but the point here is
I'm afraid I didn't inherit that godliness trait of hers.
No, and I'm just saying that if if you fix your heart problems by means of modifying the externals,
You'll be that.
then, well, you'll be that. I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking...
You'll be like, I'd be nice if you made me spaghetti.
Like, let's say if you got to the place where you actually could control every physical circumstance of vitamins and nutritions and temperatures and yoga poses and whatever it is that you're trying to do. And let's say that you actually got to that point. You can't actually control all the people around you who may come and tempt you to sin.
They may trod upon your toe.
They may be very difficult to deal with.
Wasn't it Spurgeon? Wasn't it Spurgeon who had someone tell him that he hadn't sinned?
Yes, that he had achieved perfection.
Yeah, and so
he was sanctified. I think
so
he said.
Spurgeon said, so he trod heavily upon his foot. Like I think he just stomped on his foot, and the guy.
He said, and his perfection vanished as the morning dew. It's like, I'll ruin that streak.
Like, you might control your whole life, but someone like Spurgeon might come stomp on your foot.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that, like, if you think that in order to have your heart under control, you have to keep everything controlled around you so that nothing is uncomfortable for you, nothing is difficult, nothing is a trial. It's like, well, fat chance, because people are everywhere, and they're gonna
have trials. So
they're gonna be stinkers to you.
From the reading in the Bible reading challenge today in Luke 8:15, it said, "As for that in the good soil, they are those who, hearing the word, hold it fast in an honest and good heart, and bear fruit with patience." And I think that the idea of when you hear the word, holding fast to the word in an honest and good heart, like, you think, well, then what is your heart full of all the time? Mm-hmm. It's full of the word. Like, that your heart is full of the word, full of this, and it will bear fruit, which is very different from the concept of bearing fruit because you have minimized your temptations.
Yeah. And I do think that, like, I'm obviously...
Or thinking that you'll bear fruit.
Nobody is opposed to anyone... like discovering that they feel better when they change their diet.
I'm going to do the thing and go ahead and just bring it to something more, like, less abstract, which is that many women now are, whether they meant to get into it or they got, like, talked into it by someone selling it on social media, there's a lot of different health and wellness regimes and plans and things that you can get into. But women, we are like, you should not be spending your life treating yourself therapeutically all the time. Like the idea of, because there's alternative options that people are like, oh, it's natural, or it's healthy, or it's safe, or like, if you go get these leaves in the garden and do this with it, that you'll feel better when you have, whatever. They can get really elaborate. But you think about, like, if you got up in the morning and you're like, oh, I feel a twinge, best treat that. Like, oh, I feel heaviness in my central forehead. I'm going to do something about that. Like, oh no, my stomach doesn't feel settled. Like there's an awful lot that we have to just be able to power through and not obsess about. And you think, it's not healthy to be spending your life working so hard to be healthy.
But it's also just such a losing battle anyway, but the thing is I was just thinking, if you're that kind of a mom who is spending all of your time trying to basically get all the pillows around yourself and position yourself just so that you are perfectly physically comfortable, well, what are you teaching your children? That's kind of my thing about, like, emotional control really has to begin with you. Because
forgot we were talking about emotional control.
Well, yeah, we wandered a bit afield there. But the thing is like,
back
imagine,
back to the matter at hand.
But imagine, like, what are your children learning if they see that in their mother? Is basically, like, go to extreme lengths to have everything the way you want it. And so then that's when you get very demandy children. It's when they want to have,
My
I must
sandwich
have
has
the,
to be in perfect triangles with one
Yeah.
half star.
and it has to be in 9 pieces. And
Yeah.
then, like all of those,
Then you have to go
those
back
things.
to one.
And then you turn into the guy saying, but I wanted spaghetti when
Yeah,
you're 40
well.
years old. But it's just, I don't know. I think that you're
I don't think people do that,
modeling-
though. They don't do that because they're trying to be godly. They don't do that because they're trying to optimize their godliness.
I see
they
that.
do it
No, I do.
because
I
they're
see it.
serving themselves.
But when Christians are doing it, they need it to feel spiritual.
Yeah.
So they'll say things about, well, we are whole creatures, mind and body and soul together, and God created all three. All true. All
Yeah.
totally true. But it's also, the flesh is pretty sneaky. The flesh is one of the things we're
It's
supposed to
always
contend
there.
against.
The world,
The
the
f-
flesh, and the devil.
Mhm. And the flesh is always wanting more.
The darn problem with the flesh is that it's right with us.
It's all the time.
It's got a front row seat to all of our issues.
But I do think that that there are women who spend a lot of their time on focusing on that, and I think that they don't see that they're actually.
And we don't. Sometimes you take things as a total given. Like someone say, "I just really don't feel right unless I've had my hair done recently," and people are like, "Is that so?" But nobody challenges it because they say it like this is just who I am. It's just the way I am. I need a lot of time for myself, or I do. This is just who I am.
And there's
That's what I
nothing
require.
wrong with wanting to get your hair done or getting it
Well,
done.
I'm not standing against that.
I'm just saying, it's a matter of.
I'm saying the expectation that this is a simple requirement for me to be
Yes.
a person that's kind
Yes.
is wrong.
Yeah.
Much like I'm not real concerned about, I'm not at all concerned about being addicted to coffee. I like coffee. But if you can't control yourself because you haven't had coffee, or if you're angry because you haven't had coffee, something's going wrong.
Right.
That's a problem.
Yeah. and,
If you have anything that you have,
and it's kind of one of those things. If he who is faithful with little will be faithful with much. And you think of what God may ask of you in your life. Think of all the people who have had legit, awful, sad trials and stories and things that they had to get through. Corrie ten
Right.
Boom or the martyrs or whatever. And it's like, can we not be faithful through a gray day with a headache?
Yeah, no.
If you can't be
Exactly.
faithful there, how will you be faithful when God asks something
well,
much
this
greater of
connects
you?
to something I've been thinking about, which is, we do not believe that all Christians are called to the mission field.
No. Not the specific mission.
No,
field.
to sell their homes and go overseas. Right. We don't believe that Christians are all called to that.
Right.
But one thing that we do believe is that every Christian is required to live as much for the Lord as if they were on the mission field. Do you know what I mean? That you're, and the problem for many Christians is that there's a lot more it's hard to see when you're at home. Mm-hmm. It doesn't stand out if someone is really living just for their own interests most of the time and then pretending to be a serious Christian at other times, or if they're really living a life of total sacrifice for the Lord in their normal life. But missionaries are called to a different kind of sacrifice than any other Christian, but not more of one.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They're called to, sometimes they're called to more of a sacrifice, but I mean, the amount we're supposed to be giving the Lord is your whole life.
Yeah. All of
Every
your heart,
Christian.
all of your mind,
All
of
of your
soul,
strength, all of your
strength. And it's not some people do that and the rest of us
there's
just
Christians and then
we
there's
just get
us.
to do a pinch of cumin.
What I
Dill.
decided to do
A bit of
is
dill.
to live for myself and acknowledge the Lord on weekends. That's what I'm going to do. It's no, that's not it.
Right.
It's your whole life. And if God planted you in a comfortable neighborhood, your spiritual life should still be uncomfortable. I actually believe that, uncomfortable in one sense, not in other ways, but I believe that God requires a lot of his children, and that there's no way, if you're really living for the Lord, you're not going to be in a place where you're getting bored with your spiritual challenges.
We actually should all be climbing a mountain all the time.
Yeah, and if you're not tired, or if you don't have a lot of stuff on your plate,
But
then
everybody-
ask the Lord to show you what you should be doing.
But I think we're all climbing the same mountain. But we all are doing it on different paths a little bit, you know? It's like God calls some people to really very difficult places, and other people have much more comfortable circumstances. But the comfortable circumstance should not be confused with,
not going somewhere.
God didn't want me to have to try.
Right. And it's just, I think that there's some stuff that has been so unhelpful that it's not, it's like little teaching, little ways of talking that slip in and people don't notice that that's overtly unbiblical. You know, like...
there's a lot of those things.
Yeah, but then you just start thinking, you're right. I need to back off of everything that makes me feel too busy. Like, or I need to, which you might need to if you have, like, for some reason taken up charity dog walking for people. And then, you know, like, sure, maybe you should back off of some things. But the self-care is not the job of Christians. You know, like being overly consumed with self-care.
Yeah.
There
is, of course, yes.
I know we do this where we're always like, qualify what I just said.
It's like, yes, you need to live another day, but so that you can serve another day. You know,
yeah, like you're trying to maximize. I talked about this in a podcast a long time ago, but here I go again. I pray sometimes. It's like a mental image. We don't have very long. Like, our life is flying by. Like this is going fast. And I think of it like the moment you're born, it's like a rock being thrown into a pond. And it's just going at a certain rate. And this mental image to me is like, Lord, spread me out, make me bigger, give it more heft. By the time I hit the water, I want it to be some major impact. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
And it's not... I'd like to enjoy this journey as I sail through the air, and I'm going to not think about hitting, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to not think about the fact that there is an end for all of us. An end here on earth. There's only so much work we can do. I love when Nate gave that, whatever talk that was, where he talks about us all running around and panicking under the sun and then flat on our backs for 7 hours. and then we're like, back at it. Go. It's like we couldn't bear with this for eternity. Like, it's only so much of our life that we have this, like, this need to sleep, this need to go. You know, like, but it's a sprint. It's like making it faithfully to the end. Like running with the encouragement of these clouds of witnesses who have gone before us.
And I think that it's very noticeable throughout the New Testament that having your eye on that final finish line is a very healthy and very biblical thing to do. Like, is God going to say, "Well done, you good and faithful servant"?
Yes, like,
or is
stay
he
the
say,
course,
like,
Christian.
What have you been doing all
They're
this
like,
time?
you remember how you were supposed to be
lot of
running a
self-care.
race? Do you remember?
You were doing a lot of self-care that whole time.
Well, I like the idea of, like, the Lord's like, so there's this cloud of witnesses, and you were supposed to be running that race with endurance. And you're like, well, I decided to do some tailgating out and have a little picnic and do some other stuff that sounded more refreshing. Like, you know, it's not the image of the Christian life. It's not an image of pleasantly passing the time until we get done.
No.
Like, it is one of pouring yourself out, imitating our Savior. You know, imitating Christ, working hard, you know,
which
being
is not the
joyful.
same thing as saying you can never rest, you can never have fun,
No. Well,
never enjoy the beauty.
Here's
never,
we can just bring
you
up
know,
more issues. We don't believe that, but we do think that many Christians ignore the rest God has commanded us to take, and then spend all their life trying to gin up new ideas of rest. Like, God gave us rest on the Sabbath, and then said the rest of the time.
And all of those other things that I think people use for their, you know, trying to treat their sin problem. Of course, God has made everything. He said that it's good, and thank God for it. Not the slugs. Back to the slugs. They spontaneously came from Satan's spawn.
Evil.
Anyway, but the point is that thank God for the things. If you're able to take a Tylenol and fix the headache, thank God for it. If you can't take a Tylenol for whatever reason and you still have your headache till bedtime, thank God for it. That's what He had for you today. And you have to be able to be grateful, and none of the fruits of the Spirit get wiped out because you are hungry.
Oh, I thought you just stopped the podcast right there. She went to check the time, and I thought she stopped it.
I think we probably need to
We
wrap
do need to wrap it up.
up.
I think we should just wrap it up and skip tips today. And we'll come back with better tips next time.
Why? You told me you had one.
Had one, but I feel like it's like we're at 48 minutes.
Oh, that's true.
And so now if we talk too long, everyone's going to hate us.
That's valid. That's valid.
Did you have one that you can get in a short? I'll save mine.
You're going to save yours. All right. So we'll come back to you with a tip from Rachel.
Yeah. Next time.
Let's
all hope I remember it.
She won't.
I don't.
It won't. Yeah. You won't.
Do you not have one that you wanted to share in 42 seconds or something?
Well, mine was not even a tip yet. It was a query.
Brass tags?
It was a, No, I'm pretty, well,
okay,
do I want that? No, I ordered, and I'm on a trial basis at this moment, not sure what I think. Those Turkish towels, like the flat weave.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actual official Turkish name.
Yeah.
But they're pretty, like those big cotton flat weave things, and they're supposed to be more absorbent, and more.
Probably take a little while to get them.
Well, no, it's very absorbent, but it's a intriguingly weird thing to grab it after the shower and feel like you've just grabbed a sheet. It's kind of like, oh, you wanted something a bit like more warm and fluffy.
Well, there's a reason terry cloth is what it is.
Yeah,
to us.
but I still I'm holding out with a maybe, because it is really absorbent. It dries you off like really fast. Actually, I think more than a terry cloth does. But then it's so thin and interestingly different. But anyway,
well, it's good to know.
It's my.
Not really a recommend.
It's not a product recommend.
It's a ponder this with me idea.
It's a ponder this as we consider the question of flat weave towels.
I bet it's much nicer to put in a turban on your head, though.
Well, I had it in a turban on my head, and I feel like you get a lot more squeeze out of your hair that way, because it doesn't get lost
it's not
in
too
the
big to hold on to. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And it really, like, you can kind of wring your hair out inside of there. So I could see it actually being more efficient.
Well, good to know.
I'm not sure yet.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time.
Have fun,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
I'm a 2009 graduate of New St. Andrews College, and I'm a commercial property manager.
3 kids at Logos, 1 at home still, and I do flowers on the side out of our house. When you have these little people that you're responsible to shepherd, you realize I need to know what I'm talking about, because they need to have a firm foundation and they need deep roots so that they don't get blown over and that they're ready to stand up for the truth.
I am a programmer. The language aspect of NSA is a fantastic preparation for any sort of programming.
I'm a real estate broker here in town. I think absolutely the perfect education for being in sales of really any kind.
I actually put it to a lot of great use when I was working in the political realm.
I am a pastor in Central Coast, California. Whatever vocation you take, it'll make you take that seriously because you're seeing it through the lens of the sovereignty and lordship of Christ.
To learn more, visit us online at nsa.edu.